Us to help us really understand the reaction to all of this. DeRusha, he is a radio personality in Minneapolis and the host of Drive Time with DeRusha. Great to see you again, Jason. Really appreciate it. I wish we didn't have to speak again about the events, the tragic events that we've seen in Minneapolis. But give us your sense, first of all, how this is escalated even further than last time you and I spoke. We saw those scenes outside of hotel. Give us a sense of the mood on the ground, just following this horrendous weekend.
You know, it is a contrasting situation because you have exactly what you saw and you showed outside the hotels, which is a tactic we've seen from protesters going to where they think ICE agents are staying and trying to disrupt it. There also is great sorrow here. There is another life lost. Just after really a day of optimism, I think. I was personally shocked and moved by seeing tens of thousands of people marching peacefully in the streets of downtown Minneapolis when the air temperature was 20 degrees below, the wind chill was 40 below Celsius. I mean, it was incredibly cold and people were out there raising their voices. So Friday you had that, and then Saturday you had Alex Pretty's murder. And the anger, I think, really goes to this trust issue you were just talking about. Yeah. Stuff can go wrong, but don't lie to us. When your own government is telling you a version of a story that this guy was trying to inflict maximum damage, give me a break. The video does not show that. Nothing shows that. And I think that's really what has been a tipping point for a lot of people.
Yeah, because we've heard from the administration words describing as an assassin, a domestic terrorist. But their version of accounts, Jason, just does not match what we are all seeing, right? What our eyes are showing us. So this goes beyond trust. This goes now to the credibility. How can we come out of this? You've heard, of course, the president saying that he's sending his border czar, Tom Homan. He's spoken to Governor Tim Walz. They've had a good conversation. Do you think, does this suggest to you that the administration's potentially looking for an off-ramp here?
I think so. And this is the first time that Tim Walz and President Trump spoke, as far as we know, during this entire ordeal. Tom Homan, as your analyst said, is no shrinking violet. But there are different approaches to how you can go after people who are here without proper documentation, illegal aliens, however you want to describe it. You can go to the areas where you have the largest number of people who are here illegally, or you can go to the small Midwestern state that borders Canada. The way they've been doing this here, there has been quite a bit of reporting that there's been a difference of opinion in the Trump administration. And Homan has sort of advocated for let's go to the areas where you have more dangerous, undocumented people.
Can you give us some color at all, Jason, on some of the calls that you've received, of course, just over the weekend and today as well? What are callers telling you? What are they asking you?
You know, today what you're seeing is more people who are very supportive of the idea of having strong border enforcement, strong immigration enforcement, but saying we need a break. There are many Trump-supporting Republican elected officials in Minnesota have started to call for a break. So I do think there's a point of inflection here where even those who support the goals of the Trump administration are saying this ain't it.
We've heard, and I'm sure you heard in the press from White House press secretary, she basically went out and blamed Democrats. She said this tragedy occurred as a result of a deliberate and hostile resistance by Democrat leaders in Minnesota. How much that does not help to really smooth any of these tensions out. How do people view some of the comments that we're hearing from this administration? Because going back to your point that you were making earlier, the question of credibility, the question of trust is now at stake.
Right. You know, I think you have to ask, is Caroline Leavitt a serious person? Is she seriously speaking for what the administration's moves are? Or is this a little bit of red meat being thrown out to Republican elected officials and Trump supporters who have spent the last couple of weeks blaming all of this on Democrats? So maybe you give them a little bit of cover. Caroline Leavitt said what you wanted to be said, And now we get down to the grown-ups doing the real work. Tom Homan, Governor Tim Walz, the fact that these guys are talking. I think people aren't going to worry too much about all of the statements. We've heard a lot of talk over the last couple of weeks. Now it's going to be about action. Do we see fewer aggressive interactions in the street with ICE agents going after people? Do we see maybe a winding down of the number of federal troops who are here? And then we're watching the courts, too, to see what they decide based on this morning's hearing.
And we're waiting to see that in the next hour. Do you think the protesters, though, Jason, protesters will continue to come out?
Yeah, no, yes, absolutely. Yeah. I think they will. But it's also important to remember, I went down to the memorial site for Alex Pretty this weekend because I just wanted to connect with the people who are feeling this. There's something about physically going to the site. And it was somber, it was moving, and it was a reminder that we're talking about people here. These are people who had families, who had lives, who made an impact on the community. And I think that humanity, if we can focus on the humanity, well, then we can figure this out. If it's just going to be political arguments, God help us all. It's not going to go well.
Yeah, well said, Jason. Appreciated Jason DeRusha there. Thank you, Jason. Good to see you.